Talk about a crusher. Yes! Oh!
Are you kidding me?
And gone!
Welcome back to the Schoolyard Sports Podcast. I'm Moses' podcast, Lane Frank. We're now at episode 263. So we're 263 episodes through, and I got an action-packed episode planned for you. There's some huge news in the NBA that we gotta go over on all fronts. Brandon Sorsby will not be playing in the NFL next year as the league denied his claim to go into the supplemental draft. World Cup, we're finishing up group stages, CU advances to the knockout rounds, and Wyndham Clark has won the US Open. So we got a lot to get into on this episode 263. Stay tuned. Let's start out episode 263, how we always do, with our headlines. And in the NBA, we have got a boatload of news, starting out with two-time MVP Giannis Antetokounmpo being traded to the Miami Heat, the 2021 NBA champion, and the guy who's really been on the trading block for a very long time now has finally landed in Miami. It is a massive deal, and I can't wait to give you my take on it in Take of the Week. We had a very eventful NBA draft. Top 5 picks kind of went according to order. Then we got a little bit of chaos, but I still think the biggest news we got in the NBA this week was Dusty May jumping ship from the national champion Michigan Wolverines to the Dallas Mavericks. I'm going to give my take on that later on in the episode, but a big move for the Mavericks and a big move for Coach May. Now in the NFL, Brandon Sorsby, we talked about in the intro, was denied to go into the supplemental NFL draft. We'll talk about that a little bit later on and the effect that it has on him and the NFL. But after being denied to play college football, after dropping his motion because all of the Big 12 threw a huge ruckus about it, his injunction letting him play, decided to go to the supplemental draft, and now, plot twist, isn't even able to go to that. In the MLB, my New York Mets are still awful. Nothing is going well for them. And I think the saddest part of it all was, seeing Pete Crow Armstrong hit a 2-run home run in Citi Field last night and saying, yeah, that would be cool to have Pete Crow Armstrong drafted by the Mets, do that for the Mets. But those 2 months of Javi Baez yelling at the fans and doing this to them was definitely worth it. No. Terrible move by the Mets a couple years ago. And I think they're still feeling the fallout for it. Now, other news in MLB, we have a new leader in the clubhouse for average in Otto Lopez. I know a lot of people don't like to look at average anymore. They look at OPS. I still think average matters a little bit. So Otto Lopez has the most hits in the MLB and the highest average. Is this finally the year Kyle Schwarber will get his MVP? He's currently sitting at 29 home runs. Just had a great 3-run home run game against the New York Mets the other night, and really pushing for the MVP campaign after finishing second last season. Now, Jacob Mizorowski is back on fire. The Brewers' flamethrower got up to 105, I think, the other night. Maybe the fastest pitch ever thrown by a starting pitcher, and only gave up 1 hit in a Maddox complete game. So Mizorowski and the Brewers currently on fire, but especially that flamethrower, Jacob Mizorowski, looking for his second straight All-Star appearance. Now for the World Cup, the USA have won their group. It's great to see that. 2 great games against Paraguay and Australia. We'll see what happens in the third one against Turkey, but not necessarily a must-win game for them since they are advancing to the knockout stage. Now, I think the surprise of the World Cup to me for how well they've done has been Cabo Verde. I know everybody likes to talk about their goalkeeper, but it's really the whole team. From the 0-0 draw against Spain to the 2-2 draw against Uruguay, they have 2 points. They have a chance to make it out of group play for sure, whether it's as the second team in their group or the third team in their group. Now, a team that's been a big surprise in the way they haven't played well is Belgium. Now, Belgium, we saw this from them in 2022 when we call it their golden era of Lukaku, Kevin De Bruyne, Thibaut Courtois, and that they were going to do super well at the 2022 World Cup, and they got grouped. Now, this World Cup, it's kind of the last time they'll ever have De Bruyne, Lukaku, Courtois, and they're not doing well again. Back-to-back draws. I don't know what's up with them. I don't even know if they'll get out of group play for the second straight World Cup. Now, England, they had a great first group game against Croatia, winning 4-2. You thought they had things figured out, at least offensively, and then they figured things out defensively in the second half. But then they go up against Ghana, and they drop 0-0. Harry Kane had a really good chance at the end of the game to win it, couldn't get it done, so disappointing to see right there out of England. That was a good match by Ghana to draw 0-0. Now, Lionel Messi has been the story of the World Cup. He's got 5 goals in 2 matches, just playing incredible. So the pressure was on Cristiano Ronaldo, who had none going into their match against Uzbekistan, but he scores a brace, gets 2 goals, and that's about for the news and the headlines this week. Now, take of the week. This week's take of the week is about why I think the Heat still won the Giannis Antetokounmpo trade despite giving up Jaime Jaquez, Kasper Jonas, Kalal Ware, Tyler Hero, and 3 first-round picks. Now, those players, I'll talk about them in a second, but let's look at those first-round picks. One of those first-round picks they gave up was pick number 13. The Bucks took that pick last night. They took Nate Ament with the number 13 overall pick. This is a play-in team, the Miami Heat, sitting at number 13 in the lottery. They knew these guys weren't going to develop that much. And one thing I want to point out, back in 2019, the Miami Heat drafted 13 and they took Tyler Hero. I think when they sit back 7 years later, in 2026, and they look at their roster and they're still at 13. Now, of course, they've had fluctuations. They made the finals. They've had some good years. They've had some down years. But the grand scheme of things, 7 years later, you're still at pick 13. I think it's time you move on from a guy like Tyler Hero, a guy who's great for a long time in his career and still can be with the Milwaukee Bucks, but he's not fitting this scheme right now. He's not necessarily what you need. And quite frankly, I do think these guys are a dime a dozen. Now, maybe Kalal Ware has some room to improve. That's a guy who didn't play much in college and can definitely improve. Kasper Jonas, I think his peak could be like a Goran Dragic. I don't think this guy's ever going to be a full-on superstar. I wouldn't cry over losing him. Jaime Jaquez, certainly not. I don't think he's taken a big leap at all in his career, in my opinion. So, for the Miami Heat, yes, they are giving up what seems like an entire starting 5 of young players with those picks and with those guys. This is going to be a good team with Giannis Antetokounmpo. The Bucks will not get top 5 picks out of this. This is not going to be a Brooklyn Nets trade where they lose all their first-round picks and the Celtics get Tatum. They end up with the number 1 pick and they get Jaylen Brown as well. That's not that case that we've got right here. I am looking forward to see how the Bucks do next season because, yes, they did pick up 6 players in 24 hours. I know it sounds crazy, but they picked up 6 players in 24 hours after only giving up Giannis Antetokounmpo and Bobby Portis. They gained Jaquez, Jonas, Kalal Ware, Tyler Hero, Braden Burries, and Nate Ament. These guys will get their run next season. It is a massive trade in the NBA. It is the most pieces that I thought they would give up that for any team to get Giannis Antetokounmpo, and the Heat got him, and they gave up pieces. But they're also clearing up a lot of cap space, in my opinion, by trading away these guys. They will land a good free agent or two. I think their point guard situation can be better. I think Davion Mitchell isn't necessarily a starting point guard. That can be fixed, but outside of that, you look at this Heat roster, it's not that bad. You get a better point guard, you play Norman Powell at shooting guard, you maybe have Giannis at small forward, figure out your power forward at Andrew Wiggins or somebody else, and you've got Bam Adebayo at center. That is a team that will contend the East. That is why the Miami Heat won this trade. You can say all you want about how much they gave up. And for the Bucks, it's not necessarily a loss to them either. You're getting good players. You can flip Tyler Hero, Jonas can be a star, Nate Ament can be a star, Braden Burries can be a star. But for the Miami Heat, getting Giannis Antetokounmpo, getting a superstar, that was necessary by all means. And that's my take of the week. Now, top 5. This week's top 5 is the top 5 picks I loved from the first round of the NBA draft, starting out with 2 honorable mentions. I think the 2 honorable mentions are easy. It's number 1 pick, AJ DeMonsa, and number 2 pick, Darren Peterson. These guys were slam dunk picks. It's not necessarily much strategy going into them. These guys were incredible players, and I've got a fun did you know coming up about them next. So let's get into the real picks. Starting out with number 5, Caleb Wilson to the Chicago Bulls. They didn't overthink it. This guy's dominated every level of basketball he's played at. He was probably good when he was a toddler. He was definitely good in elementary and middle school. He was obviously one of the top players out of high school, being a 5-star in North Carolina. Dominated the college basketball landscape before he got injured. Great pick by Chicago. And they got a steal with being that high in the lottery. So 5, Caleb Wilson to the Chicago Bulls. Number 4, and this was a pick I really liked late in the draft by the Boston Celtics, Chris Senak from Houston going over to the Boston Celtics. This guy was a 5-star in high school, actually had a really nice season at Houston, could kind of fit into that good center power forward role for the Boston Celtics, and I expect him to get a lot of minutes here. So good job by Brad Stevens of the Boston Celtics. Chris Senak, number 4. Number 3, and there was actually some debate within this team's actual draft room on whether to take this guy or not, and that's public now. Jaxel Lendeborg, number 11, to the Golden State Warriors. Yes, Mike Dunleavy, their GM, ultimately made the call, but Joe Lacob, I think, disagreed with it, their owner. Now, it's a great pick, Jaxel Lendeborg. You're not going to get LeBron this offseason, but this guy can be pretty close to a LeBron type of player. Not production, but type of player in his rookie season. He's already really well developed. Jaxel Lendeborg has improved his game in every single place he's played at, whether it was his senior year of high school, whether it was at Arizona Western, at UAB from year 1 to year 2, and of course, being the Big Ten Player of the Year at Michigan, and would have been the NCAA Tournament Player of the Year had he not got injured in the Final Four. This guy turned into the best shooter in the country in the last month of the season, shooting over 50% in games. He's not just shooting up 1-3, he's taking 4 or 5 to 6 a game, it looked like, in March. It was playing great. He's a great rebounder, great defender. He's going to mesh nicely with Steph Curry. So they don't get Giannis. I don't think they'll get LeBron. I think Axel Lendeborg is a very good consolation prize, who you didn't think would be available at number 11, but he was, and it's a great pick for the Golden State Warriors. Yaxel, number 3. Number 2, the Sacramento Kings taking Darius Acuff Jr. Now, the Sacramento Kings were devastated when they didn't get a top 3 pick after being one of the worst teams in the NBA. They fell all the way to number 7, and the Brooklyn Nets definitely should have taken Darius Acuff Jr., but instead, they settled for Mikael Brown at number 6, and this is just a great pick right here by Sacramento, falling into their lap, a guy who really compares himself to Allen Iverson, and Allen Iverson does the same. His defense isn't there, but I think that can be figured out with another guard to pair him with. Darius Acuff Jr. is going to be the best scoring point guard of this draft. Look at Tyrese Maxey with a little bit less defense, maybe a little even better score in the early stages of his career. I'm really looking forward to watching Darius Acuff in the NBA. He's number 2. And number 1 on my list, it's a no-brainer for me. It's Adai Mara going over to the Oklahoma City Thunder. This guy just got better at Michigan. He really developed from his second year of college at UCLA to going to Michigan his junior year. Had a great season at Michigan. You know, you think that he wasn't a great defender at UCLA despite his size. Really turned into a nice defender at Michigan, averaging over 2.5 blocks a game. A great scorer. Turn on the Arizona tape. I mean, he dominated their bigs, it looked like. And that's what we're going to have to go through in the NBA. Going up against other 7-foot bigs, and he did a great job at it. I actually think he does better against guys his own size, like a Victor Wembanyama, than he would against a guy like Terrence Reed Jr., who got drafted to the Spurs, but gave Adai Mara some fits in the national championship game. Very looking forward to watching Mara in the NBA, and a great pickup by Oklahoma City. You don't know how much longer Isaiah Hartenstein will be there. He could be a great running mate with Chet Holmgren in that front court for years to come. So a great pick by Sam Presti in Oklahoma City, falling into their lap after being the 3rd best team in the NBA this year, the Oklahoma City Thunder. They get maybe the 3rd best player in the draft in Adai Mara at number 1. And that's about it for Top 5 this week. Now, did you know? This week's Did You Know is, did you know the top 2 picks from last night's NBA draft, AJ DeBonsa and Darren Peterson, were also ranked number 1 and number 2 coming out of high school. The only other 2 players to have that done to them to go 1 and 2 in high school and 1 and 2 in the NBA draft are Greg Oden and Kevin Durant in 2007. Same order for both those pairings. Did you know that? Leave down in the comments. That's about what Did You Know this week. Now it's time I give you my thoughts on my Michigan Wolverine guy in front of the show, Dusty May, becoming the head coach of the Dallas Mavericks in this week's Spotlight. So Dusty May came on this show in episode 200 and has been a good friend of me and Schoolyard Sports, and obviously, I'm a very big Michigan sports fan, so I was looking forward to being at Michigan with Dusty, but, it's a great job, great opportunity for Dusty. And, it's just a great elevation of what he did for basketball. I mean, going from FAU, where you made the Final Four, and then, you say, what more can be done at FAU? So you go to Michigan. You win 64 games at Michigan. You win a Big Ten tournament title in your first season. You win a regular season title your next season. And you win a national championship. I mean, what more can be done? We see a lot of coaches in college basketball, they win their championship, and it's very hard to get back to that promised land. A guy who we consider one of the greatest of all time, Jim Boeheim, I don't think he has more than one national championship outside of that Carmelo Anthony one. And I'm not saying that Michigan wouldn't have won another one in Dusty May's time there. I'm just saying it is very hard. College basketball is very different and very hard compared to what it used to be. And it's just a challenge. You have to bend the rules, it seems like sometimes now when you don't want to. You have to play the way you don't want to. You have to coach the way you don't want to. And college basketball and college football are definitely becoming toxic environments. And this is a great job. It really is. The Mavericks are happy today. Very happy. And I think some teams around the league are thinking, we could have fired our coach and maybe gotten Dusty May. Now, I'm not saying the Mavericks were the best job out there, but they were certainly a great one to have. You get Cooper Flagg. You get to, really be an organization where your bosses are good guys. Masai Ujiri, he knows how to play a team. Mike Schmidt's coming in from Portland. He knows how to play a team. You get to coach Cooper Flagg, like I said. You get to coach Kyrie Irving, one of the greatest guards of all time. You get to be the coach of that team. You get Daniel Gafford, a good center. They picked up his guy, Marez Johnson. I don't know what else Dusty May could have done for Michigan and college basketball outside of winning that national championship. It is a great elevation. It is a great job. And like I said, I think some teams around the league are thinking today, we could have gotten rid of our guy and maybe gotten this guy. One of the most shocking coaching moves we've ever seen. And it sucks as a Michigan fan to know the last two coaches to make a direct jump from college to the NBA were John Beilein in 2019 from Michigan to the Cavs and Dusty May in 2026 from Michigan to the Dallas Mavericks. We wish Coach May all the best and definitely a Michigan Mavericks fan going forward with Merez Johnson and Dusty May there. That's about for the spotlight this week. Now it's time I put on my GM hat and tell you why the Celtics made a grave mistake in passing up on Giannis Antetokounmpo. Yes, they had the offer on the table from the Milwaukee Bucks to give up Jaylen Brown, who I think they were willing to give up, and Hugo Gonzalez. Now there were some more pieces, but Hugo Gonzalez, the second-year player, was the piece that the Celtics really wanted to hold on to. Hugo Gonzalez averaged 3.8 points per game last season. 3.8 points per game. He is never going to get to the level of Giannis Antetokounmpo. He's never going to get to the level of even a 10-point game scorer unless he gets really lucky, in my opinion, because I don't know. I don't see this guy being a superstar, even an all-star, a 15, 10-point per game player. He's not going to be that good. And they had to make this trade. They had to get rid of Jaylen Brown. This team is way too toxic now with both these guys, Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown, because I'll tell you this, Jaylen Brown, and I've told you this before, this is Tatum's team. I don't think Giannis would have messed that up. I think, they could be co-stars, or maybe, Tatum says, this is my team. Giannis, you're going to be here. You're going to help us out. You're going to be a superstar, and everybody's going to love you. The issue with Tatum and Jaylen Brown was the age gap between those two being so close, them being, so tight where one goes down, the other one really steps up, where Jaylen Brown kind of took Jason Tatum's moment of winning the finals by winning finals MVP and not necessarily getting rewarded for it by them saying, hey, Jaylen, this is your team, not Jason's, your team. He has this big contract, Jaylen Brown, but I think it's time they move on from him. I said it a couple months ago that deal should have been done, Jaylen Brown for Giannis Antetokounmpo, and it was very close to happening. But Brad Stevens, and I really do have a tough time believing that Hugo Gonzalez was the holdup for it. No disrespect to Hugo Gonzalez, but it's like, the Celtics, what are you thinking? You're not going to get another superstar. You're not going to get Ant. They're not trading him yet, at least, and it certainly won't be the Celtics the last time they let another homegrown star go to Boston. Kevin Garnett back in the day. You're not going to get Joel Embiid. What other guy are you going to get? You're not getting Bam. Who are you going to get, Boston? Because Giannis is off the table. And a Giannis, Jason Tatum team, that would have been great. Yes, you still need a point guard. Yes, you'll need a shooting guard to replace Jaylen Brown. But this is a good squad, and you add Giannis in there, and it's the best squad in the NBA. I don't know what they were thinking. Very, very head-scratching by Boston. What were they thinking? Leave your answers in the comments. Hugo Gonzalez. Do you believe that? I can't believe that was the holdup. But for Jaylen Brown, I hope you're never a Boston Celtic again. I'm not a Celtics fan, but I know it's better for you, better for them, and better for the league to be on a new team. And that's about for my GM hat this week. Here we go. It's time I unleash my Schoolyard Sports scream on Brandon Sorsby, the guy where, yes, he became ineligible after betting on his own games. Yes, he tried to get his eligibility back. Yes, he won that fight, and then everybody attacked him, tried to go to the NFL, and they told him, no. The business of football is Brandon Sorsby's biggest nightmare. He went at all avenues in football, and then goes, oh, damn, they got hands. They can fight against me, because every single time he has lost. You look at what happened in NCAA, he lost his eligibility ruling. Then he lost his appeal. Then he goes to court, actually somehow wins that. Then all the Big 12 ADs, presidents, even the commissioner kind of freak out, and all the schools freak out, saying, we're not going to schedule Texas Tech in any sport. It's all over a guy who was okay at Cincinnati last season, and Brandon Sorsby. I talked about him, and I said, he can be eligible. He should be eligible to play with the way, this goes. I think he should be suspended, but he should be eligible to play. That's not what this is about. I just think the way he's kind of handled this whole situation of really trying to exhaust every single avenue and going about it, thinking that he's going to get it done, he's going to win, it's just wrong. He's lost every step of the way. And go in the NFL, because they're saying, we're not going to hold a supplemental draft for you. You didn't give us anything, any documents, any investigation papers, nothing to show that you should be in this draft. We wish you the best of luck in 2027. Let's say he wins this fight with the NFLPA, where he's saying, it's just so unlawful. It's against the NFLPA and the CBA to not hold a draft. What if he wins that fight and they have to hold a draft? I don't think any team's going to draft him. Roger Goodell can maybe just say, don't draft him. Nobody can draft him. Because I think that if there was a supplemental draft somehow, And the next week, after it got denied this week, but things change in a week and it happens, there's no way this guy gets picked. There's just no way. Brandon Sorsby has exhausted all avenues of football, and the business of football is showing their toughness here at all avenues. And Brandon Sorsby is a boxer in the ring and is beat up and has no idea what to do now. He's going to have to wait. He's going to have to train. This is a situation we've never seen before. It's exciting to see the way it's playing out. It really is. It's good entertainment. But Brandon Sorsby has exhausted all avenues, and I don't think he'll be playing football next year. That's about for my scream on Sorsby, his team, and how football is dominating right now over him. Stay tuned. More to come. Episode 263. Now, at the buzzer, this week's At the Buzzer is about how Cristiano Ronaldo says he feels relieved after scoring those goals for Portugal. But is that enough to keep him on the pitch for them? And is it enough for Portugal to win this World Cup? You know, someone just told me that it seemed like every superstar was doing well in the World Cup except for Cristiano Ronaldo. Messi was on fire, and Mbappe was on fire. Erling Haaland is definitely showing out to me. He has 4 goals in his first 2 matches, matching Ronaldo's all-time record, actually. He was playing great. Everybody was playing great, it looked like. Even Lamine Yamal. But Cristiano Ronaldo wasn't. And he needs to, because this is his last World Cup, last chance to really define his football legacy, soccer legacy, and see what he can make of it for international play and win that World Cup. But Cristiano Ronaldo says he feels relieved. I don't know if it's good enough, though, for Portugal. This is a very, very talented squad. You have a great goalkeeper in Diego Costa. You have one of the best left backs in the world, Nuno Mendes. You have great midfielders like Bernardo Silva and Bruno Fernandes, and they're kind of relieved too, seeing that Cristiano Ronaldo can score now in that game against Uzbekistan. And we're being serious. Uzbekistan is not a top 48 country in the world, despite them being in this 48-team World Cup. Just the conference that they play for the international groups got them in this through the World Cup qualifiers. So, yes, it's a great job. Ronaldo score those 2 goals, but let this be a wake-up call. That is not going to happen every game. You're not going to have that easy every game. And for the Portugal manager, I would not hesitate benching him for moving Rafael Leao to striker, moving Gonçalo Ramos to striker, or any other Portugal forward you have out there, attacker. That's at the buzzer this week. Ronaldo feels relieved, but I don't think it's going to be enough to keep him on the pitch and get him to win this World Cup single-handedly for Portugal. This is a great squad. I surely hope he doesn't mess that up. I'd love to see Ronaldo complete football and win a World Cup. I just don't know if he'll be the star doing it. I don't know if he'll be in the spotlight while Portugal does it. And that's about At the Buzzer this week. Now, question of the day. This week's question day is, who will be the best player from last night's NBA draft? Will it be a second-round pick even? Will it be Darren Peterson? Will it be H.A. DeBonsta? Who will be the best player from this year's NBA draft? Leave your answer in the comments. That's about for question day this week. That's about for Schoolyard Sports episode 263. Thank you for tuning in. Follow Schoolyard Sports on Instagram at Schoolyard Sports. Follow Schoolyard Sports on X at Schoolyard Sport. Follow Schoolyard Sports on TikTok at Schoolyard Sports. Don't forget to subscribe, rate, and review for the best sports content in the world. Be back next week, episode 264. Stay tuned.